Well, if this exercise was fun, imagine how much fun I have when I have to work with a map like this, right? This is Expedia's traveler journey map. Again, remember, this is a very abridged version, so it's something that I can share with you guys. But this is work that our research team has put together. It's years and years of experience and data collected to actually build this end-to-end experience. Thousands and thousands of user interviews, lots of study and industry data feeds into this end-to-end experience. And let me quickly walk you through on how to read this map. It can be a little intense, visually very appealing, I can imagine. And again, maps don't have to be always super wordy. Sometimes in order to share it with your stakeholders, you might want to make it colorful and just to prove to make it easy conversation for them. So let's start reading this map. We start with the left, which is the pre-trip scenario. I'm pretty sure that all of you guys can relate to a few things over here, which is basically the discover, shop, and book funnel. This is like the core to how we start thinking about problems and see how we can best impact our user needs. Discover is this little cloud-shaped, unfiltered thoughts, ideas that you're getting about going to a destination. It could be an Instagram post, it could be your family suggesting you some destination ideas, or it might be, a place in your bucket list. You really want to take this vacation. You want to go to that that specific place. Once you've gone through the discovery dreamy state where you're like dreaming of the perfect vacation, you go into the more overwhelming, difficult phase, which is the shopping phase, which I know a few, in the few user journey maps that I saw, it's very stressful. It can be, because you're looking at price, you're looking at where to shop from, you're looking at learning more about the destination, what are the things you want to do, which are the places you want to go to, and who's traveling with you. That becomes really important in that phase, right? If it's a family trip with kids, you have to make sure that all the activities and the places you stay in are kid-friendly. If it's a budget trip, if it's a solo trip, all of those decisions really impact your shopping behavior, and you keep vacillating between multiple sites and sources to gather your information when you're doing the shopping phase. At some point, you'll make a short list. If you see the orange little dot, a short list of choices, like, hey, here are the few things I want to do. Here are the places I want to check out when it comes to booking or staying. And that's what leads to the decision to book. And once you've made those decisions, that's when you start exploring, hey, do I go to Expedia? Do I go to booking.com, Priceline, where not? Where should I book from? Do I have mileage, companion fare, discounts from Alaska and whatnot? So, those things then impact your booking decision. This is, again, we're still on the pre-trip scenario. This is where most of, based on data, most of flights and hotels get booked. But this funnel can repeat itself at multiple stages during the end-to-end journey. If you see the in-trip scenario, you can actually have a lot of fun there, because the funnel, that's when you starting to think about things to do. Based on data, we know the majority of our activities get booked when you're in the destination. And the reason for that is, when you're in a new destination, you have to make sure the weather is right, your family is not jet lagged, the kids are not crying or have a cranky mood that day. And all of those decisions, all of those factors actually help you make the decision of which activity to do that day. So experience or activities actually get booked mostly in trip. And that's where you can see a repeat of the funnel. So when we look at Expedia as a whole and all the products at Expedia, we look at these funnels from like very specific product perspective as well, when we see different decision points being taken at different parts of the journey, end-to-end journey. And of course, after you're done with the destination, it's time to go back home. It's time to reflect, share posts on social media, share your feedback if you've had a bad experience with whoever you booked with. And then again, as soon as you get home, in fact, for me, as soon as I'm on the flight back, I'm thinking on planning for the next vacation, right? You start dreaming. So our end goal as a UX team is always to start thinking about this end-to-end experience and where we can best influence them. One of the ways that I, as a content strategist, really use this map, and I'm going to give you a very specific user problem that's a good example of something as common as what you have to solve on a day-to-day basis. Imagine a stakeholder comes to you and says, hey, here is a pain point we want to solve for. A customer needs to get a printout of the Space Needle tour ticket in order to redeem. So imagine, in this digital media world where we are talking about QR codes, we still have to work with suppliers who want the users or the customers to get a printout to actually redeem an activity. Sounds insane, but it's true. These are the challenges you have to deal with. How do you solve that, right? Few steps. Audit your competitors. This is not a unique problem for you. There's someone solving it. So go find how they're solving it. Learn from that. Gather past data and research. Someone must have done some tests maybe 2 years ago around it. Why did it fail? Why did it win? Get all of that, dump it onto the map. Think, feel, do. Again, these are the things, the more you do these exercises and put that data into the map, that's how you actually come up with understanding how to best solve that user problem. For me, in this case, right, Space Needle tour. If you know that the user is, for example, booking pre-trip, which is like 2 months before they land in Seattle, maybe a simple solution can be sending an email to them saying, hey, remember to print this voucher, or maybe an app notification 2 days before their flight takes off, saying, hey, remember, you need to get a printout. Otherwise you're going to have a terrible experience. However, as we know from data, some of these experiences, some of these bookings may actually happen in-trip. Someone might be right outside Space Needle and like, okay, I'm going to book this tour. How do you solve for that then? And that's when user journey becomes so important. The map really helps you solve and even tell you what platform you should solve for, right? For in-trip, one of the options could be never show an activity which requires a printout, because it's a pretty difficult ask from the customer to go find a printer in the middle of nowhere. Like, how do you expect them to do it? Or maybe you can be very transparent while they're booking. And make sure that you give them a reminder immediately after. Or maybe, if your system is really smart, tell them where the nearest printer is. So there are multiple ways in which you can solve this. And as soon as you dump all this data onto the user journey map, that's where you come up with solutions. And that's how the more specific you get about your solution, the stronger your measurement for success can be. I know I'm running super out of time, but I'm going to quickly glance through where I see the most impact of user journey maps on the design process. I wish I could spend more time on the slide, but empathize and define. These are the 2 points which I think are super important when it comes to using the journey map. Understanding pain points, delighters, and how you can influence the user's behavior becomes very critical. And then defining which touch points you want to really impact with your test or with your change in design. So when you think about designing and think about solving a problem, go really deep, go very narrow. Don't talk about vague problem area. Try and dig deeper, whether it's a stakeholder, whether it's a user. Try and understand what the real problem is. All right. Quick 3 takeaways that I want you to go with today. Design with empathy. Know what you're solving. The more precise you get, the better you can measure, the stronger impact you can make, and optimize even faster. Evolve the map. Like Aubrey said and Dave called out, that is a living document. Do not let it rot, right? You are learning about the user new things every day. And as the user is evolving, you need to feed that information back to the map. No test should go in vain. No test should go without it being fed back to the user. Every experience is valuable. And then evangelize. Share the goodness, please. Yes, we've had major investment decision changes based on how, when you see the impact on the map and how you can actually influence user behavior, stakeholders realize that we don't want to spend money just doing marketing for the heck of it. If we know exactly when to target, if we know exactly what we're solving, the impact is a much stronger thing. So as you think about using user journey maps in your own organizations, think about evangelizing it and how you can make bigger business decisions using a user journey map and making it more customer-centric. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aparna.